Welcome into Inside LAFC podcast. We are live every Monday on LAFC YouTube, on LAFC Facebook. I am Max Bretos. There is Benny Feilhaber. Benny, we have games to talk about. I mean, it's been such a big week. I don't know how much we'll talk about that first leg of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. It's far in the rearview mirror. We have a game tomorrow to preview, so we'll probably bundle it up into that. But as we welcome in the audience, I mean, that's as good as a week can get, correct? After we've been talking about this for a couple months, 9 goals, 2 victories, beating the reigning champs, everything checked off the list.
It was an amazing first week. As you know, as a fan myself, watching the games, it was exciting. We have a lot to talk about in terms of, what we kind of discussed last week in terms of, what is the team going to look like? Obviously, how are they going to handle the 2 games and now the third game in a week, kind of, so to speak, with the second leg. But man, only positivity. So I'm sure the fans here they're going to comment today, they're going to be pumped about what they saw. And it's going to be an exciting show.
We are available on LAFC YouTube and LAFC Facebook. We are here every Monday at 12:30 Pacific time. Always good morning on a Tuesday to our fans in Korea. You can watch this show anytime after it airs live here on these channels. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. This is your show too, and I see the folks already lining up in the comment section. Juan Vargas, you were first. And then I saw a joke from Craig saying, you're not just first, half an hour before the show, hiding in the pub toilets at the end of the night so you're the first in the next morning. That sounds like something I would have done back in my heyday, but water under the bridge, we move on. But come on in, ask questions. We're going to ask Benny in a little bit what it makes him. Remember, Benny, year 1 player for LAFC, decorated player, was handpicked to be on the maiden voyage of the black and gold, and certainly made the most of it. And now we're come full circle. We're going to ask him. I want to ask you, how did that make you feel to see this team, where they have started, where they have come? Put your comments in the comment section. You can leave a question. A lot to talk about. I imagine it's going to be by and large very difficult. And this was a show that we had to grind through because there was so much of the unknown, Benny. The off season, people were waiting for everything to fall into place. It turned out to be a really good market. As we will talk about Stefan Eustáquio as well, and how he has slid into the starting 11 and made his presence known. But I was optimistic. I thought LFC was going to win this game, but I wasn't quite ready for the bang in these 2 games and to see how they put Inter Miami team to the sword that was so dominant last year and so active in the offseason. And Lionel Messi, 0 shots on target. This was a pretty pillar-to-post job. I think there was 12 chances or 12 shots overall for LAFC compared to 2 for Inter Miami in that first half. This was dominant in front of a very festive Los Angeles crowd.
Yeah, well, it was, like you said, one of the biggest venues, right? I mean, it was the game of games in week 1 of MLS. And I agree with you. I think going into the game, I remember my son asking me, right? He likes LAFC, but he's a big Messi fan. So he asked me, he's like, is LAFC or is Inter Miami going to win? And I said, well, I think LAFC is probably going to win this one. I just have a feeling that their team has a little bit more to prove, and they're a little bit further ahead in terms of, what their identity is and how they're going to look and how they're going to play. And I mean, they were fantastic. Obviously, they were lights out on certain moments in the game, and pressing Inter Miami out of the back, turning them over at times, creating the counterattack moments. The first goal is a picture perfect moment that goes to what I'm describing right now. And look, it's integral as well that they get not only Sonny and Bouanga going, but Martinez, who gets the first goal as well. And class pass from Sonny. I always appreciate the pass more than anything else because it's the timing of the pass. He waits for the run to develop. He plays the ball with the right amount of speed to be able to finish, and obviously Martinez does the rest. But it was a picture, a glimpse as to what I think this LAFC team can be with those front 3. The one thing that's still out there for me that's going to be interesting for us to continue to follow, because I know this was against Inter Miami, a team that's fantastic with possession, with the players that they have. But we saw the LAFC that we've seen a lot of times over the years, which is, hey, let's keep that counterattacking momentum that we have over the last couple of years under Steve Cherundolo. And I think Marc Dos Santos utilized it the right way. We'll still probably see some, tinkering throughout the year. We always see, especially in the beginning of the season, some of the changes that happen with the teams and tactics and whatnot. But man, they were spot on in that first game of taking their chances, turning them into goal scoring opportunities. Obviously, the 3 goals themselves and defensively, man, it was what you like to see against an unbelievable team in Inter Miami with not only Lionel Messi, but now they got Berterame up there too, who's one of the best strikers in CONCACAF over the last few years. So, man, that was fun to see in the defensive side of things.
Yeah, Germán Berterame. I mean, I don't want to be too cruel for him, but because he was also a non-factor, I think he'll be better. I think he's going to score a lot of goals. But it was a bit of a narrow field, and the connection with Messi wasn't there. But both those guys pretty much a non-factor in these 90 minutes. We're here on Inside LAFC podcast. Benny Feilhaber, LAFC original, U.S. men's national team legend, joining us here. We're thrilled to have him, and you can ask Benny any questions. I guarantee you will not be disappointed with the answers, as our loyal listeners will tune in. Let's get into we always create the topics, and we have our topic bar, which you can see at the bottom. I want to put this one in: LAFC 3, Inter 0. This was an easy one, classic, simple. Let that simmer, because that is an eye opener. And as dominant as Inter Miami were at the end of the season, a scoreline I don't think anyone expected to see anytime soon. I thought LAFC was going to win it. My prediction was good. There were going to be goals 3-2. But to have Inter Miami in that explosive offense with 0 goals was tremendous. And we're going to talk about some of the topics that Benny touched on, including the counterattacking, including the transition, which was monumental. And some of you folks have already talked about this in the comment section. John Lee, I was a little disappointed we only scored 3-0. We could have scored 6, as they did against Real España. I will preface that by saying that I don't think we saw LAFC in 5th gear at all. This was a team comfortable in their own skin, in their game plan, but I feel there are extra steps to come. I thought part of it was Inter Miami just were not functioning, which benefited LAFC. LAFC have a lot of improvement. They could be a lot more explosive. We saw the starting 11. Eddie Segura, the left back, because I know some folks were asking, no minutes for Hollingshead. Bold choice. It worked here. Marc Dos Santos was asked about having Ryan Hollingshead and Artem Smoliakov available and not using them on the bench. Lots of games coming up. I expect to see one, if not both of them, in the game against Real España tomorrow. But this was a more of a defensive approach. Eddie Segura was a stay-at-home fullback, kind of a back 3, and that allowed Sergi Palencia to get upfield. That worked brilliantly. It allowed the midfield to stay in its place. And we talked about the transition and about the images of the Steve Cherundolo era, which was effective, which was a transition game, unapologetic. It worked. Listening to Marc Dos Santos after the game, he was asked about it. He was asked about it at halftime with Andrew Wiebe. Andy Rose, the assistant coach, gave him the answer saying, we want to get more possession. We want to get after it. This is not, and Mark said it afterwards, this is not exactly the game plan we came in, but it worked for us in this case. We saw the transition. Inter Miami playing with that high line. They got caught on both those first 2 goals. So the transition game worked. And Benny, it's a question whether this is the LAFC we will see throughout the season. I don't think it will be exclusively. I think this was the horse for the course, which makes LAFC even more dangerous, that they can throw several things at you because of the width and breadth of this roster. So many different options where you want to go with the 2 up the top. Marc Dos Santos mentioned they started as a 4-2-3-1. They adjusted to a 4-3-3. But stylistically, with using the transition game effectively, which it shone to the surface here, and how we expect LAFC to adapt formation-wise, tactic-wise moving forward, however it might work.
Well, I think that you hit the nail on the head. I think that this was, how'd you say, horse for the course?
Horse.
I haven't heard that one, but that sounds like a Dr. Seuss one. But
it goes horses for courses, but I just used the singular version of it.
Okay, well, I agree, right? I think that this was one way to win this game. And look, the players that LAFC have, you're always going to be a dangerous counterattacking team when you have the speed of Denny Bouanga, of Sonny and Martinez right up top. You're always going to be dangerous, and maybe even more so at times than, being the calculated possession, slowly trying to build. I don't know if that's going to be the constant MO of the team going into the season, but maybe it's like you said, depending on who they play. Yes, we're going to see teams that play against LAFC and that sit further back in blocks of 4 and make it more difficult. And then there's going to be a little bit more of not only the passing and the possession, but there's going to have to be different types of runs. It won't always have to be Bouanga out on the wing touching the sideline, where now you give the ball to Bouanga and he has to dribble 2 or 3 guys, right? That's going to be difficult. So the ability to find some of these off the ball movements in behind the back line, where now a pass leads you into a position where a cross and a finish can be available. I think that's what Marc Dos Santos is going to have to try and add to the game, so that they can, like you said, utilize more than one way in which to win a game or and beat an opponent. And so I do think that that'll, evolve as the season goes. And, and going on a little bit of a tangent just from some of the messages that I've seen here, I just want to quick fire a couple of things that I've seen. One, fans seem to not be content with just the 3-0, which is great that fans want the 6-0 and it should have been 5-0 and whatnot. But let me tell you again, from a player's perspective and a coach's perspective, there is nothing better than a win with something to work on. You don't want to get it all right on the first game of the season, because then you're on top of the mountain and there's only one way to go, and that's down. And so the ability for, the team to get together and say, was it perfect? No, but we just beat the defending champions 3-0. And can we get better? Yes, we can. So I think that's one for fans to think about it from that perspective. And then the other one, I heard a lot of, people saying Sonny was disappointed in getting subbed out. And yeah, of course he's disappointed in the moment, because he's a competitor and all of us want to play every minute of every game, as long as we don't feel, exhausted or whatever. But look, I can guarantee from everything I've heard, I've never met him, but I've seen him from afar. Max, you've met him. Sonny's a team player, man, and he wants nothing but the team to do well. And him, coming off 2 minutes and getting Ordaz on the field and getting him a goal, it is monumental for the team to have that depth. And so I think Sonny will be just fine with those 2 minutes coming off a little bit early. Maybe next game he gets to play the full 90, but this game, it was a good one for Ordaz to get in and get his goal.
Inside LAFC podcast, like the video, subscribe to the channel on LAFC YouTube and Facebook. We're here every Monday, 12:30 Pacific time, with Benny Feilhaber, providing his knowledge. Just the euphoria of the result and the occasion. We'll get into the crowd, the Coliseum. It was remarkable. I saw a comment about the tifo. They said it was very appropriate. It was like a gladiator style. And the Slayer was being played. I wasn't at the Coliseum because I had a different assignment from MLS. I will be there tomorrow. I will be on the call for the next 3 LAFC games. So I'll be able to see it. So I'm going to have to take your word for it. I saw it. I saw the game again yesterday at home off the laptop so I could soak it in, so I could be prepared for the show, obviously. But just the pomp and circumstance was truly remarkable. I see some people also saying, Alan, I can pitch in $5 to buy Eustachio, a GoFundMe for Eustachio, who is on loan. We'll get to know Stefan pretty soon, so stay close to these LAFC channels for more on LAFC's newest midfielder. But let's talk. As much as I'd like to leave that topic bar up, let's switch it to the rock-solid midfield and what Stefan Eustachio can do, because it's not just singular, Benny. He makes they had those pivot sixes with Mark Delgado and Timothy Tillman. This is Mark Delgado playing better, because I would imagine who's around him. This is the position you played. You have a little Stefan Eustachio in your style, an all-round midfielder who can pass, defend, score. He can do those things. Timothy Tillman, who had that incredible ball to set up Denny Bouanga on the second. This is Timothy Tillman at another level too, where I've been telling people and they roll their eyes. I go, he is going to be in consideration to make the March U.S. national team roster, possibly the World Cup roster, because of his versatility. And it's a guy playing at a very high clip. So Eustachio, who we saw filling gaps, what is he doing out there when we see him? Because he was brought in as a 6, but this isn't a 6. This isn't what we see from Igor Jesus or Ilie Sanchez in years past. This is a guy who is a bit of Ilie, but so mobile in getting there, finding the pass. He was involved in the goals in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. He was involved on the first goal. He had the deflection that went to Sonny, that went to David. And then the second goal where they're able to turn the ball over. It all starts in that midfield. How did you view the midfield collectively? And tell us, because you play that role in many ways, what you're seeing from what Stefan Eustachio does for this LAFC group.
Well, I think the biggest thing is how versatile all three of those players are, right? You talk about an Ilie Sanchez, you talk about an Igor Jesus, even you brought myself up and other guys that I play with as like a Lee Win and whatnot. And I feel like the three guys that are in there right now are so versatile. We talk about, in midfield, a 6, a defensive midfielder, a 10 who's an offensive midfielder, and an 8 who's kind of a box to box. And there's also kind of a spectrum in there too, right? A 6'8", an 8'10", and whatnot. And all three of these guys, I wouldn't say apply to any single one, right? They can kind of mold to themselves. And now there's three of them, right? And so maybe Eustachio is a little bit more of like a 6'8". I would say that Mark Delgado, is an 8, right? And Tillman is more of an 8, but has certain qualities of a deep line playmaker, like we saw in the second goal of, hey, I see that run, I'm going to play that 80-yard ball over the top, and he can hit that ball. And so the ability for those guys to just interchange positions, it makes it so incredibly difficult for any team to deal with it from a defensive aspect with the things that they can provide on the ball and the runs off the ball. And then defensively, they all can do something, right? And they all share the responsibility. So it's not like when I used to play and it was Edward Atuesta behind me that had to do all the dirty work, right? And maybe so much more when I used to play in Sporting Kansas City as the 10. We had other guys that did that dirty work, but really all of them are doing the dirty work. And so it's very, very difficult to deal with from an opposing standpoint. And those guys are incredibly, I know the two guys have played together for a while, but Eustachio just got there and they look like they already have that chemistry. And so sky's the limit for that group, but one can argue that is the strongest, midfield three in all of MLS right now.
Just going through some of the comments by this Sir UB called me Chad Bretos and you Benny Heartbreaker. I don't know if that's going to stick.
I hope I'm not heartbreaking anybody.
K97316, Ryan and Son are my favorite players. The question is, which Ryan? We have multiple Ryans.
I think they're talking about Porteous, no?
Probably Porteous, because Hollingshead did not play. Hollingshead's got a new contract. He's happy to be here, and he knows he's shifting with the amount of being the time of the everyday player. But I was surprised that Eddie Segura would get the starts in these first two games, but it's proven to be the right move. So far, Marc Dos Santos smelling like a rose. I saw Mark at the Real Madrid Barcelona Legends game there at BMO Stadium yesterday with his family. He is ready to go. No rest for him because he's got to get ready for this game tomorrow. J.K. Morgan, good afternoon from Vancouver, Canada. Good afternoon. Vancouver Whitecaps? I mean, maybe he's an LAFC guy.
He's scouting. He might be scouting.
Maybe he's scouting. But we will take fans from everywhere because we want LAFC to be a global club, and we're feeling it every day. We still have our Brazilian fans. Buanga in Fluminense. ? And I saw one of the LAFC fans. He's not going anywhere. Go away, Flu. So, hey, Kaitover Beraldo, I know I butchered that. Please join us anytime. We'd love to have our connection to our Brazilian fans, even though Denny Buanga is staying. We'll see. But that is always subject to change. I know, Joe, this was asked, and I wasn't there. What were your thoughts on the in-stadium experience at the Coliseum as a season ticket holder at BMO and attracting lots of matches there? It was rocking and raucous. To me, you want to activate BMO Stadium. That's your home. If you can do the Coliseum, or if they've done the Rose Bowl in the past, or SoFi Stadium they've done before, I'm sure they're going to kick the tires. You want to make BMO special, that place, with these outliers. I did want to say a lot of work went into creating that game. This was LAFC's feet on the ground. The BMO Stadium operations allowing this to happen. From our producer, Sarah, who's been getting a lot of love, and everyone involved with LAFC. If they are listening, I just want to say what an amazing job. They were underwater with this game for weeks, months to make it happen, and it went out beautifully. So I could tell you what I thought, but based on Benny, and you saw it too, but what Joe said and others, anyone who went there was blown away with the experience. A lot of them came to see Messi, but then just to see the sea of black and gold. This was a very special, memorable day that I think fans will remember fondly, not just because of the result, but because of everything about that match day.
Yeah, I actually had a family member, I had a brother-in-law go to the game, and the pictures looked amazing. So I'm sure the in-stadium experience was phenomenal. From the TV, it looked pretty phenomenal as well. So I think it was a home run, and I'm sure the group is going to be itching to get back to their home base at BMO Stadium. But man, what a venue to have Lionel Messi there and LAFC and a 3-0 defeat. And look, the other thing is there's a lot of times that I've seen, Inter Miami where they travel with fans. I mean, I went to the Inter Miami game here at Sporting Kansas City a year ago, and there's tons of Inter Miami fans. Whereas this time, all I could hear were LAFC fans in the crowd. So that's something to speak of as well.
Getting to the comments, I glossed over this, and it's not a minor detail as much as we've talked about how great of a night it was. KPK, I don't know what is with these handles. KP Cafle, Dos Santos needs to be careful with subbing out Sonny. He was upset. Paraphrasing there. He didn't even smile when Ordaz scored. I didn't see that smiling thing. But listen, I would say as a coach, this is a big decision. He pulled him out. He obviously wants to he didn't really use much of the bench as deep as LAFC went. We saw Ordaz. We saw Tyler Boyd. Ordaz, that sub happened in the 88th minute for Sonny. Ordaz came in. It was not many players coming off the bench. Who was the third substitution? It escapes me, but Ordaz did come in and scored that goal, which was tremendous. But
Tillman, Martinez, and Sonny.
Okay, there we go. This is something that you have to do with. Son Heung-min is bigger than life personality, and I would think what Sonny would say about staying in. You're leaving Denny Bouanga in there, as is tradition for LAFC, because he can run and run and run. But I can understand people looking into Sonny getting pulled. And again, this could be conspiracy, whatever. But with Sonny coming out and Sonny wants to play, and it was clearly evident. I'm not saying that was the wrong decision. I'm just saying that's something Marc Dos Santos has to put into consideration. Benny, you would say that too. When stars come out, there has to be an after effect and a conversation about, obviously, I'm in charge, Marc Dos Santos. Sonny probably shouldn't do that, but it's a moment. It's something that because of the result, you'd like to sweep under the rug, but really, as much soccer as I've seen, it's something you just can't exactly do. It is a moment, and I think it's something worth talking about. So, KP Cafle, I appreciate your comment, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, look, I actually disagree with you a little bit in this.
Yes,
I've been there. I know. I don't think it's something that we have to worry about in terms of Sonny's. He overtly showed he was disappointed in coming out. Right. You're playing a game where you're giving everything physically, you're giving everything emotionally, you're giving everything. And so you're raw in that moment. There's no filter, right? And the moment that you're coming out and you're enjoying yourself, I mean, you're winning the game 2-0, you're in front of the fans, it's the first game of the year. Sonny hasn't scored a goal out of the two, so maybe he wants to get his goal as well. And so, yeah, the immediate reaction is, man, why are you taking me out, right? But that doesn't mean he's not 100% a great pro, a great teammate, that he, even once he, the emotions kind of level off a little bit, that he even understands it from the perspective of Marc Dos Santos. I find it to be a smart move in the sense that, hey, if he didn't play some of those games in preseason, maybe there's some lingering things that he was dealing with. The game's 2-0. And I almost think he took longer maybe than he wanted to ensure that they were going to get the win. And once he found, okay, the game is in hand, it's 2-0, let's get Nathan Ordaz in there that can provide a little bit of like a spark in terms of, he's fresh. He'll do some dirty work defensively, whatever, close down the game, almost like a closer of sorts. And let's get him in there. Let's get Sonny off. Great. Like, the job is done. And so I think Sonny will see that from that perspective once the emotion, comes back down. I've been a player. I've been a coach. Those reactions bother me zero, whether I'm one or the other. It's after where the game is, are we all back on the same page again, right? If there's something that needs to be discussed, sure, they can just discuss it as men behind closed doors. But I would be shocked if I saw anything behind closed doors that was anything more than, hey, man, I just wanted to keep on playing, coach. Keep me in there next time, something like that.
We will talk about it. We will talk about everything, and we'll talk about what you guys want to talk about here on Inside LAFC Podcast. Like the video, subscribe to the channel on YouTube and Facebook every Monday. Should have ended 5-0 with all the chances from Juice 3-2-3. We need to take our chances more. They had a lot of chances, Anthony. I'm telling you, man, it could have gone with the absolute volume of opportunities. I mean, I wrote down, I can't even read my own notes, but it was a ton of possession. 11.
I can tell you expected goals. You guys love expected goals, right?
Yeah. Expected was 3.26, 15
3.26.
shots, 6 on target with 32% possession only.
Hey,
so there you go.
What you do with it, not how long you have it.
And by the way, Benny, very good commentary about that. And I'm sure that Sonny was thrilled with Nathan Ordaz. Mark Dos Santos put Nate in, and he scored a couple minutes later. So a good plan came together. Segura, one of his better games, and Delgado shadowing Messi did a great the game. Love your show. Missed couple live podcasts today. Waiting for you 1 hour ahead. Wish coach makes Son as a captain. Why? He has more active and team input. It's doing just fine. Don't worry about that. We gave Inter Miami respect, and it looked like Dolo ball after the second half. Here we go. Wait a minute. It works. Juan Vargas says, Benny, you're starting against Real España tomorrow. Do you have your boots?
Oh, I think I could play in tomorrow's game, to be honest.
What is the best way pass there? What is the best way to keep Eustachio? Is he DP worthy? He is DP worthy. I think it's going to be at this pace. It's going to be an interesting conversation to see how you find a way to keep him. If in fact he's on loan from Porto, it's through the summer. Igor Jesus is ready to go, and this is Igor Jesus's team as well. But that's a conversation for another time. But I would imagine if LAFC is churning along, playing as the best team in MLS, they're going to find a way to find room. And I think Eustachio is going to help facilitate that. I don't know that, Benny, but that's just the result of when it's a good situation, you got to keep the house intact.
And it's always a good problem to have, right? The more quality players you have on a roster, the more decisions you can make and tinker with, depending on the team that you're playing against and who's having a good day and who's not. And the other big thing is, look, all these players have values, right? And if somebody has value, but you can't maintain them on the roster, then that usually means you can get something for those guys. So again, I think it's always a good problem to have if Eustachio is doing great and then Igor Jesus comes back into the picture healthy and is back to, what we saw from him in the last year or so, then you got a good problem on your hands.
Inside LAFC podcast live on LAFC YouTube and Facebook. So LAFC keep this incredible record intact. 9 wins in 9 season openers. Benny, you were part of the first one.
I know. I'm glad we started it off with a bang in Seattle, but man, that is impressive.
That was the hardest one. That was the expansion team.
That was expansion team on the road. That's right. You said all the other games have been at home, right? But still, 9 games in a row. That is one hell of a record. So I'm glad we got it. We kept it going.
Okay, so I bring that up because I wanted to ask you, and I want folks here who have been LAFC fans from the beginning, seeing this team grow. You're watching this LAFC play. As somebody who wore that shirt in year one, how did it make you feel watching it? How do you feel connected to the club and to see the work that was set up in the foundation? You were part of that first season opener. And what's become of it? How does that make Benny feel?
Look, I always watch LAFC games with a different type of feeling than I do most other teams, right? I mean, obviously I played for LAFC. I think being the expansion year that it was means a little bit more than just playing 1 year anywhere else, right? It's the beginning of something. But look, I mean, I look at LAFC in a way where I think they gave me so much compared to kind of what I gave them. And so I think I was a very small part of, one season, but the amount of work that people did before this team ever played a game, right? To become the team that it was, the roster that they built in John and Bob, then the players that, I got to play with that first year. And then ever since, 2018, where I played and up until now, there's been nothing but success, right? And the amount of fans that have taken this team and made it basically their home, right? BMO Stadium, their home, the 3252. It's just something special. Not every club is able to do what LAFC has done, right? And it's through a lot of hard work. It's through doing things properly. I'd love one day to be back in that building in some capacity. It's a place that I have a lot of people that I still know there, and they just do things in a really awesome way. That is also the reason why we've seen the success on the field. Right? They scout the right way. They bring the players the right way. And so when I watch a game, and obviously the game at the Coliseum was special against an Inter Miami team full of superstars in their own right, to see that game be played at such a high level. I mean, MLS 20, 25 years ago, you watch a game from 20, 25 years ago, you won't believe this is the same league anymore, right? So it's unbelievable. It compares to a lot of high quality games that you watch in Europe now. And so, yeah, to be a little tiny, piece of that history, it really means a lot more to me than I think I do to LAFC, but it's always a joy to watch LAFC play on TV.
Benny Feilhaber, ladies and gentlemen. Very well said. And I think a lot of people here feel similar to that. So leave your comments as we revisit a very busy comment section. Ruben saying everyone hits the like button and then follow up. Max loves to see all the likes. I go, that is 100% accurate. And by the way, it proves the point. When you like this video gets out to more people and we're getting more viewers every week. We're getting more subscribers. That is going to keep us upright and gainfully employed. So I appreciate it. Lenny Trefi Curtis. Hola, Max. Hello from Colombia. I believe that's a Colombian flag. My vision's not as good as it used to be. That's why I got these sharp new glasses. So appreciate it. 3-0 is a perfect game to start the season. Fluffhead, 3-0 is beautiful. Our defense looked great. Let's talk about the defense really quickly. Because on the field, Nkosi Tafari was given man of the match. And Ryan Porteous was getting high marks. Eddie Segura has been getting high marks here as well. This was a very good defense at the end of the year. I think some people were wondering, okay, we're going to hang on until Aaron Long is healthy again, or maybe we have to add another player. Those things may be true. And I think the midfield depth is good because Chonier can come in and fill the gap of those three guys. Eddie Segura can come up to the midfield. So the midfield's strong. Amin Boudry, who can play in both those spots, also available, and Jacob Schaffelberg, which means the attack's going to be very strong. I'm not crazy about the lack of depth center back wise because it will be Porteous and Tafari for the foreseeable future. Maybe Eddie drops in there. But I got to say, Porteous and Tafari look like a top pairing right now in Major League Soccer. That reach those levels. I think he's starting to do that because he's here at this club and getting great coaching. And Ryan Porteous is showing that he's just adapted very well. And having conversations with him, he loves being here. And I think it's really clicked. So on the surface, it's a good center back pairing. Will I welcome Aaron back? Absolutely. But just maybe a little more depth. But that has turned out to be another strength for this club.
Look, I think this is the one area of the game that I'll say I think we did fantastic. But, and this is a real but, I think that everybody needs to understand, we played in a game where, one, we played in a more compact field. The field is tighter. It's a little narrower. It's a little bit more difficult to create. And we played against a team that's going to have more possession, which allowed LAFC in that sense from a defensive standpoint to be compact and organized defensively. And so I think those three midfielders did a bunch of work to support and kind of shield that back line from too many issues, right? And so I think you have to take it with a grain of salt. It was a fantastic performance. I think it's something to build on. But the true test will be you get into bigger fields with more space. You get into a game where now you have the ball a little bit more and you're a little bit more spread out and a little bit more exposed. Now, what do those defenders look like, right? How does the communication between the two center backs, how do they work together? How does Eddie Segura, if he's the one that's playing as a left back, how does he look in that role when he's going up against, maybe a speedster as a winger and there's more space to cover? And I think, look, are those questions going to be answered in a negative way? Not necessarily, but I do think that there'll be harder tests, even though Inter Miami is a fantastic team. I think there'll be harder tests for the back line specifically when they have to deal with a little bit more space, a little bit more dynamism from certain attacks, and they won't have necessarily those midfield three shielding them as much as they did the whole game.
There was a comment about the position that Sonny plays where he's a little bit withdrawn. We've seen him play like that false nine. Helios Sapo responded that to SK Kim, saying Son is man marked by 2-3 people per match. Bouanga has the same problem. Martinez right now is the X factor. You guess what? 3 that can score. Isn't that something we've talked a lot about this team? Everyone's going, oh, the great production from Denny Bouanga and Son Heung-min. We need someone else to step up. David Martinez, 2 goals in 2 games, took them beautifully and find big paddocks of space. And the question for him, can he finish those? And he did it beautifully with his left foot, curling it at Carlos Vela style, getting it up and off the ground.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
Carlos Vela.
Sorry.
Let's put it back. He's got to earn his way up there, but I see where you're getting at.
A little Ray. But I mean, this is what we wanted. And I'm not saying it's going to maintain it. David is still a young player, but he's gotten a lot of coaching in the preseason. We could anticipate he was going to start these games. He has responded in a big way. I mean, this was a really LAFC were better in the first half, but without a goal, this goal changed everything. It could have gone in a lot of different directions. It came from a turnover. Sonny set him up. I think as long as LAFC win and score, as much as we'd like to see Sonny and Bouanga score, and Bouanga scores every game. Look, getting that third guy in there.
I think a lot of teams all over the world, not only in MLS, they talk about, man, we have this one player that scores the goals, but we need a second. LAFC have 2 players that score all the goals, but they're always asking for a third. If you have 3, then you need a fourth. It's always, it's the problem that you have when you have such a talented team. Now, do I think it's important for David Martinez, if that's the third guy who it seems to be on the right side of the field, to take some of the pressure off those other 2? Of course, right? If he can at the end of the year get to 10 goals, 5 assists, something like that, that's taking a load of pressure off those 2. And what it doesn't allow other teams to do is to try and take away 2 guys out of the game. Having said that, I haven't seen any team do that either, right? I mean, Sonny and Denny were scoring goals as soon as Sonny landed in LA. And ever since, it's been that way. And so that's something that no team has really been able to limit. And hopefully, that can continue with the addition of David Martinez being an active participant in those front 3 and getting some goals himself, which I think will happen. Because, look, one of the hardest things I think for David Martinez to realize, and I think that was what I noticed watching the games, is that there's some similarities between him and Denny Bouanga. And those are that they're excellent dribblers. They want the ball to their feet and they want to take people on, and they're not necessarily always looking for the pass, right? We see Denny Bouanga provide assists, but it's usually like the one that we saw to Nathan Ordaz, where he just, cut somebody down the line and just serves the ball into the box. It's not exactly the one where Sonny laid off to David Martinez. You don't see that one from Denny Bouanga so much. And I think that's the thing from David Martinez that he has to continue to improve on. But the one big thing that we saw in that first goal was his willingness to make the run in behind and not only want the ball to his feet. And if he's able to do that, he's going to get on the end of a lot of plays that Denny Bouanga creates down the sideline, cutting down the line and getting a cross off in front of the goal, and the Sonny combinations that he's able to find. So I think that's one big aspect of the game that's increasing, and it'll only get better with experience and that confidence that comes with it as well.
Yeah, I think Sonny's thrilled to see David Martinez build, and it's no accident. You see how much they enjoy playing with David and seeing that progress. So the team has taken on their shoulders to get that improvement, and David's put it on his shoulders so far to do the same. Inside LAFC podcast, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Incredible numbers today, as we were expecting for today's show. We love sharing our Monday afternoons or evenings, wherever you might be, or mornings. With you on a regular basis. Let's talk about that record attendance at the Coliseum. It was a standalone record. It was a season opener record, 75,673. It's the second largest crowd for a standalone game, biggest for a season opener. There is a quick look at the comments before we get into that. This game's sun was quiet but deadly. That is very well said. Mark Delgado had Messi in his pocket. Sure, it was a lot of people who did that. Some comments about Tillman not scoring goals. Listen, He'll score some goals, but what he does in so many other departments is so valuable. He's been really good in these first 2 games of the season. Really, really. And he did score a goal against Real España. We'll see what happens. But his goal tally hasn't been good. But again, LAFC are scoring goals as a team, and they're getting results. Some people not happy about the substitution. Head coach mistake with the 88-minute sub. We'll see where it does. But as we saw Benny laying his knowledge down. Tillman equals Pedro. Love long pass, but Pedro better. Are you talking about Pedro of Barcelona? Wow, that's very good. Porteous was a stud. Tafari and Porteous better than everyone. Hit the like button. Max loves the likes. Yes, I did. So 76,000. I also want to say, the YouTube, we're on YouTube, so it's worth mentioning. The highlight packages for MLS games, for Messi's pretty big. When Sonny arrived, it's pretty big. Other games get like 50, 60,000 views. As we were going to air right now, the highlight package of that game from Saturday is at 2 million views. 2 million. So people are noticing. MLS is all about getting one new fan in here or there. It makes a difference. But when you get 75,000 and then you get 2 million and counting on YouTube, those are big results. That's lots of eyeballs. I also wanted to say this because a lot of people were saying this was the Messi effect, right? This was 75,000 for Messi. People did come out. I got a lot of calls going. Is Messi playing as if they may not show up? And if Messi didn't play, I'm sure it wouldn't be 75,000. I would say it'd be 60,000. Maybe not. LAFC played the Galaxy 2 years ago at the Rose Bowl. 82,000 showed up. So these are LA events. Messi helped. There's no doubt about it. But this was going to be big either way. But there was so much black and gold in the crowd. And at the end of the game, the whole place going 3-0. And that's goosebumps moments. This is Benny, you've played in packed houses. I know I've called games. You've done games in MLS where it was hard to get fans out. How does that make you feel when you look not only that many fans, but that many engaged people?
Yeah, look, I think the part that you brought up that is awesome by far, it's the metaphor that depicts what this game was to me. I was talking about it a little bit before. I've gone to a Arrowhead game here in Kansas City when Messi came in, and there was pink jerseys everywhere, right? It looked more like an Inter Miami home game than a Sporting Kansas City one. This game, it's the first time I've noticed watching an MLS game where Inter Miami goes on the road with Messi present. Messi looked like the cherry on top, right? The game was all about LAFC. It was about the superstars on LAFC, the team itself, the 32-52, the LAFC fans coming in droves and supporting their team, and then sprinkled in some Messi fans in there that obviously are always going to come with the best player in the history of the sport. But man, if Messi's just the cherry on top and the LAFC fan base and soccer and sports in general in the LA area, because that was exciting to watch, and 75,000 people is nothing to sneeze at.
I'm looking at these comments. It's hard to keep up with it. And a good friend of our program, Michael, who's always on here, Michael McKnight, he said, in a year that we'll see the FIFA World Cup come to Los Angeles, it's worth noting that no single sporting event in the world this weekend, including the Winter Olympics in Italy, football matches in Europe, attracted more spectators than LAFC versus Inter Miami. Finishing a close second was the crowd who saw Bayern beat Eintracht Frankfurt, 75,000 there. So it's pretty good. And I saw someone mention Tottenham here. Since Sonny left Spurs, they're in the they might get relegated.
Yeah, well, they almost got relegated last year, even though they won Europa League. So
yeah, exactly.
I think they're doing well in Champions League this year, aren't they?
They're in the top 8 of the Champions League. So that's good. That's why I think they might get relegated, because they're going to be kept busy with that. We'll go through all this, but it was incredible. I saw some people say it was 70% LAFC, 30% Inter Miami. I'll tell you this, if you're an Inter Miami Messi fan and you see Messi get undressed like that, you might want to switch shirts just because you like a winner, right? If you're from LA and you like Messi and you see LAFC, you go, maybe I'm going to get into this. I guarantee you there are some people who jumped ship from Messi a little bit just because they want to be, they saw that they want to be part of this LAFC experience, right?
I would think so. I don't know if I'm not much one for trying to invite people to come. They either come at their own will or not, but I like it. You're trying to persuade some of these fans to start wearing the black and gold instead of the pink.
I'm looking at these comments. Moni Pete, MDS Tactics, Mark Dos Santos, who's smelling like a rose right now. Get the ball to Bouanga, facing Son to play is 10 when Son is the best finisher. I think there's going to be some goals coming here for Son as well. We got someone from Myanmar. Welcome. Black and gold for life, brother. Take care of Son Heung-min. Sonny's very good. And by the way, this was Sonny played 4 home games last season. He wasn't there a lot. He's going to be very excited about logging more time at home, getting settled into Los Angeles. This is something he wasn't able to do at the end of last year. He's able to do it now. They're on the road at Houston. We'll talk about that game last week. That could be, by the way, we're going to talk about the Champions Cup. That could be a trap game for LAFC. Hitting the road. That could be a little trap.
Max, I mean, I don't know if we have this. I know we talked to Sarah about potentially putting this up there, but look, I'm a pretty as level-headed as it comes when I try and analyze teams, whether I'm a big fan of theirs or it's any other team or whatever, any other league. LAFC impressed me to the point where, I mean, we need to be talking about, I know it's game 1. They're the best team in the league right now, right? They just beat, and there it is. Thank you, Sarah. I think it's like what you said. It's almost like they didn't get into 5th gear, and they just beat what is arguably, obviously the defending champion, not arguably there, but arguably the best team in the league, and they easily dealt with them. And then you talk about Real España as well, right? And I get it; they're not even close to the caliber of the team that LAFC are, but it's still, you're playing on the road, and you're starting to see, I think, within MLS in general, in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, there's a big gap now in between the MLS teams and any other team not being from Mexico. And look, there's been a lot of blowouts even on the road, but LAFC going over there, scoring 6 goals on the road, and now Mark Dos Santos can do whatever he wants in this game, right? I mean, you could arguably play the LAFC 2 team, and they're going to get through in this game. And so there is a gap between LAFC and a lot of teams in CONCACAF. And I think there's a gap with some of the top teams in MLS where there didn't used to be, right? There was so much parity in the league, where now I think LAFC are in this upper echelon, and right now they're the best team in the league. And so I don't know. I mean, look, I might have to be biting my tongue next episode, but I don't think they're going to be stumbling. I don't see trap games, right? Yeah, are they going to be tough games? Sure. Is Houston on the road?
In MLS is hard. We know that.
Exactly. I mean, is Houston on the road an easy game? Of course not. But I do think that LAFC are vastly superior to a lot of teams, Houston being one of them, that I don't see it as a game that they're going to all of a sudden, they don't get out of, 2nd or 3rd gear and get surprised. So I liked what I saw, and I do think it's going to be tough to stop this team right now.
LAFC on the road at Houston, and then back-to-back home games to start the month of March against Dallas and St. Louis. They've already had one road game. They looked exceptional in CONCACAF Champions Cup. What do you think? We're going to wrap things up. Is LAFC the best team in MLS? I say yes. Are they the best team in CONCACAF? I think so too. As it stands, things could change. Fluff had asked me, because I had to do the San Diego game. He said, was I happy to be there? Well, I'm happy I did that game because San Diego's really good. I think that's a tough matchup for LAFC. San Diego beat them twice. I can't wait for those 2 teams to play. Vancouver looks like they've stepped down, and LAFC just beat the other top team in Inter Miami. Nashville look improved, but it's a clear-cut top in MLS. And I don't think it's really debatable, especially after that result on Saturday. Some comments here. People are talking about bringing in Philip Coutinho, Mo Salah. We got a great team.
Philip Coutinho from Vasco?
He's been set free. No, right?
No, don't do that.
I don't think so either. No, you've got such a good vibe with this team. You don't want to mess around. I think you don't bring anyone in for now, barring an injury or something along those lines. Ricardo, nightmare getting out of the parking lot, as to be expected. 3252 came with all the vibes. How about Nkosi Tafari with the 3252 in his hair?
All right.
Very good.
He was my big pick at the beginning of last year to be, one of the top defenders in the league. It didn't happen in that first season with LAFC, but maybe it's going to happen now in the second season.
Someone mentioned about how Son Heung-min sacrificed him for Tottenham Hotspur's Green Bliss, saying Son is sacrificing himself here too. Sonny wants to win, baby. He likes to score, but he wants to win. Los Angeles si puede fichar Danilo. They want to get Danilo from the Brazilian league. We'll see. Just let's enjoy this team.
Danilo from Botafogo.
I believe so.
Is that who they're talking about?
Did you say Botafogo again?
Botafogo. Depends how you want me to say it, as a Brazilian or as an American.
I think you just said it as a Brazilian.
I did. It's because I know how you normally, do your commentating. You always roll your R's, so I got to do it for you.
Botafogo. Thank you for asking for the likes. We appreciate it. We have a great audience. This show gets great numbers all the time. Thank you very much. Let's preview the CONCACAF Champions Cup second leg versus Real España, 7 p.m. Pacific time, Tuesday, tomorrow at BMO Stadium. Come out to the building. If you're in LA or visiting, come out, watch the game. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some turnover there because it's been very busy. I mean, Tuesday, Saturday again. And we talked about the depth. Here's a chance to showcase it. You're up 6-1 on the aggregate. I'm curious what we will see. I think a guy like we heard from Ryan Hollingshead, I'm sure he'll get in there. Artem will play a role. Maybe we see Amin Boudry get a run also. Nathan Ordaz start. Marc Dos Santos, I imagine, still doesn't feel that this is done and dusted. So I think everyone's going to be close to the vest.
What are you talking about? It's not done and dusted?
Yeah, I don't know. It gets a little interesting.
I bet Vegas isn't even taking bets anymore.
So we're expecting a turnover of the roster.
No, I think the question, this is the question that a coach has to have, right, in this moment is, who does he want to give minutes to, and who does he want to continue to keep, going in that direction from a starting standpoint? And so there might be some of those starters that are better off getting some time off, and there might be some of those starters that he wants to continue to, let's keep pushing them in the right direction. Let's keep building the chemistry between some partnerships. And obviously that's a question that can only be answered inside closed doors with that coaching staff. So I think that's what we're going to see. Are we going to see a lot of changes? I would be surprised if we don't, but maybe not a full 11. Maybe there's a couple of different guys in there that he wants to continue to progress with it, whether it's, fitness issues, whether it's chemistry issues, whether it's confidence, and continue to build in the right direction. But I'm sure we'll see some new bodies in there as well.
I think you get the rotation in there because you can. And I hope to see the kids, Jude Terry, Matt Evans, Nate Ordaz. You can do it. So really quickly, we'll run through the comments here. Rest Sonny second legs against España. I think you can pretty much guarantee that, but we'll see. Maybe if Sonny wants to play and there's nothing you can do about it. Shout out to Dos Santos. Vamos. Yeah, Marc Dos Santos deserves the accolades. A lot of people are curious if that was the right appointment. So far, so good. Gav, miss you both. Gav, Gav. He's always there on the sidelines. I'm sure you guys will get acquainted again. Always there at the games. Had a great time, I'm sure, at the Coliseums. MLS teams will try to hunt LAFC. You're going to get the best shot. We always did historically, but even more so, I think, this time around. I don't know if the show's going to be this good, feel good all the time, Benny, but I can get used to this.
Yeah. Well, if it's this good all the time, then somebody's going to be lifting trophies at the end of the year.
Okay, let's go. Let's go. Appreciate everyone tuning in every Monday, 12:30 Pacific time, LAFC YouTube and Facebook Inside LAFC podcast live programming for your viewing pleasure. On behalf of the great Benny Feilhaber, I am Max Bretos. We will see you next week. Until then, let's go black and gold.